Hey, this is Alan Elliott for AE Fitness, and today's video is called Steroids 2020. What's the value? So today, with the onset of certain deaths in the fitness industry and certain failed drug tests by athletic professionals, I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on steroid use in our culture. Stay tuned for more. Okay, so today's video is a different approach. I'm just going to kind of speak from the heart and share freely some of my experiences. And I believe this has kind of come to a culmination. So in the past few weeks, we've had two significant deaths in the fitness industry. One by the name of a bodybuilder named McCarver. He was 26 years old and he passed away untimely. He had a great career already accomplished at such a young age, and many thought of him to be one of the future Mr. Olympia. So that was kind of the crown that he won't be able to step into due to his untimely passing. Within the same week, another bodybuilder by the name of Piana, he was a very popular YouTube fitness enthusiast, he passed away. And then within the same week, a popular UFC fight that you might have heard about was Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier. So they did have that fight, but then later on after the fight, it came out that Jon Jones had failed his drug test. So I just felt convicted. I wanted to share my thoughts and opinions on steroids and drug use. So early on in the fitness industry, I didn't have a firm or key understanding of how steroids could impact you. Another term is performance enhancement drugs. So my opinion, I guess you could say, was neutral, but one thing that kind of stuck out in my mind was to stay natural as long as possible. So anyway, now that I've been in the industry going on about 7 to 10 years now, my opinion and my thoughts on steroids have changed. I've watched a few different documentaries. One is called Bigger, Stronger, Faster. That's one you can watch on Netflix, where it gives a kind of documentary and interview of how steroids, performance enhancement drugs, have influenced our society. So long story short, I do believe that steroids and performance enhancement drugs do offer benefits and value, however, at what cost? So that's why I call this video Steroids 2020. So 2020 is hindsight looking back. So even in my own journey, and I'll share with you my personal experience, again, it was to stay natural for as long as possible. So with staying natural as long as possible, someone may be exposed or run into this temptation of, if you don't take it, you won't make it. And what I mean by that is, when you enter the competitive industry, everyone is putting in the same amount of effort when it comes to training, nutrition, and diet. So really, outside of genetics, the only thing that can raise or lower the bar or tip the hat in somebody's favor would be supplementation. Those could be through vitamins and nutrients, or through steroidal performance enhancements. So for me personally, again, sharing my journey and experience, I was natural until the age of 30, and I decided to begin using steroids because I felt that I was mature, I understood the industry, I had a very firm foundation of how steroids would work in theory. However, in application to my own body and lifestyle, there were certain things that I did not anticipate happening. So for me, I had a negative experience where actually I was in preparation for a contest, and I was on track to have what I would say one of the biggest comebacks for me personally in my fitness career. Coming down from 250 pounds all the way down to 200, I was natural, and I decided to go on steroids because I felt it would give me a competitive advantage. However, about 2 or 3 months into my cycle, I began to experience complications, swelling in my feet, and I just wasn't my normal self. Things that I thought that I could do within my own power, I was like willing it or trying to make it happen. So these are just things to consider that most people may not take into account. So I wanted to create and produce this video just to talk to a few different people. I won't be able to sway everyone's opinion, but I do want to address certain people. So for the younger guys that are below 30, in your early 20s, don't get sucked into that appeal of what those body types look like, because it's very fleeting. Think about an exotic flower. It's pretty, it's shiny, it's vibrant, but most of those exotic flowers don't last very long. And people can also build a dependency to these drugs where they don't feel like they are themselves unless they're on it. So that's a very real temptation that you can be exposed to. So if you're thinking about doing it, I would say don't do it, because I thought I was professional enough and I understood the risk. However, my cycle ended up negatively for me, costing me a trip to the emergency room, $4,000 medical bill that I'm still paying for. So at the end of the day, that value was not worth the risk that I put my family in that situation. So some guys who have already been on gear, who've been running cycles, this message is for you. Obviously, the risk, you have that reward, and you may have attributed some success. However, I would encourage you to not be slack on getting your blood monitor levels checked. Make sure that you're getting good, healthy lab panels. And if you see any red flags or symptoms, don't ignore those flags and symptoms, because they could be indicators of not only short-term problems, but developing long-term problems. But you can't rule out the factor in the deaths of Dallas McCarver and Rich Piana as being non-steroid related. So let's just say that those were contributing factors. So make sure that if you are going to continue to use cycle properly, come off of it, and if you feel like you're not yourself, reach out for help. It's not a shameful thing. It's a character issue. So you can build within your emotional intelligence. You already have the strength in you to have that dedication. You just don't need that dependency. Lastly, this message would be for people who are probably over the age of 50. You may have already experienced the prime of your life and your zeal, but you may not feel like yourself. That may be an indicator that you do have a lower testosterone usage. So I would say seek clinical advice from your medical doctor, and if your testosterone levels as a male are not in the healthy age range, definitely try to do it legally through hormone replacement therapy or testosterone replacement treatment. So again, in hindsight 2020, steroids, they are very prevalent in the industry. I'm not going to lie and say that they don't sell. They do look appealing. However, I would just want to call into question, what is the value? What is the overall value? And are you willing to take that risk? So those again were just some of my personal experiences and interaction. And my opinion on steroids has changed. And I believe maybe it took this situation to really recognize that this is a serious issue that needs to be addressed. So hopefully these 3 significant events will help stir the conversation and get people talking on how we can make better lifestyle choices, or if we're going to continue to use these drugs, how we can be more responsible and catch those things before they become life-threatening. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Again, this was a non-traditional video, but I did feel the call to share this message. And as always, if you felt that this content was helpful, feel free to like and subscribe to the AE Fitness YouTube channel. As always, be sure to immerse yourself in the process, take action, and enjoy the journey. Thanks for watching.